Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Mindshift. I'm Sean Michael, your inner potential activator, empowering coaches, entrepreneurs, founders, leaders to achieve more in their business, life, and relationships. And I'm joined by the lovely Suniti Biswas. Go ahead, Suniti.
Hi guys, I am Sunidhi Biswas. As you know, your leadership communication coach, the friendly neighborhood leadership communication coach, even though I might not be in your neighborhood, but the internet is a good neighborhood, right? We are all connected through that.
Yes. Sorry for the sounds. I forgot to click the magic button. It's LinkedIn telling me your event's live.
Yeah, LinkedIn told me as well, and I'm like, yes, I know because I'm right there.
Yeah, there's a little disconnect there. But anyway, happy to have everyone join us live on the replay, etc. Today, our topic is self leadership, owning your own success story and our success journey. Story two. As we were getting ready, Sunidia and I were talking about how deep this topic goes, how many how much information, how much we can learn here. We're only going an hour. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. So we will probably just barely scratch the surface. But feel free to reach out to either of us, and we'd be happy to guide you deeper if you want to know more. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely. Though I do encourage people to actually do some research on your own as well because there's a different kind of fun in finding something out for yourself rather than be having it told to you.
exactly, yes. Um, I want to look at my
And
notes that I shared with Suniti before today.
and it kind of struck me as that finding something out for your own is also actually a part of self leadership, that you're taking charge of what's going to happen with you. So yeah, go ahead, research, and then if you have any doubts, etc., then come to us. But first you should know what you're getting yourself into
Right. You
by
want to,
doing some research.
yeah, you want to have some kind of foundation, um, a plan. I want to start with a quote. You are the CEO of your own life. The question is, are you leading with intention? This is really powerful because we kind of forget this, right? That we are the CEO of our own life. We have the ability to control it, but we get stuck in a trap thinking we have to wait for permission or guidance, which fits with what you just shared, Suniti, or my favorite, the right time. As I
Yes.
heard it once, look at your calendar and try to find someday. Guarantee you're not going to find it.
It reminds me of that quote from the movie Night and Day where I think Tom Cruise says that someday is just code for never.
Yes. And true success is taking control, leading yourself, leading your life, stepping up and taking that first step. Just like a small baby when they're they get that instinct to try to walk, right? They don't go looking like, "Oh, if I walk, I'm going to fall and that could hurt." And no, what do? They stand up and they take a step. And they usually go tumbling right back down, but
But they get
again,
up again.
they get up and they do it again. And bit by bit, they get 3 steps and 10 steps and 20 steps, and before you know it, I remember when watching my son start to walk. Like one day I'm like, he's running around the house. I'm like, what happened? Like,
And that's the
like,
that's
shoo!
the horror phase. That's the horror phase.
Yes. So, what is it? So, Nini, you brought up a point before we started, the difference between, we hear self management and self leadership. And although they sound very similar, there's some distinctions there, aren't there?
Absolutely. I mean, to put it in absolute simple words, self leadership is like setting personal visions, values, and strategies, and adjusting your own behavior and performance accordingly. But self management is like a subset of it. It's more focused on the operational and tactical aspect of achieving those goals. So, if we talk about it in a summarized form, self leadership is aimed at enhancing one's skills, abilities, and outcomes, like visualizing the future you desire and working for it. But self management, there the focus is on maintaining efficiency, competence, overcoming distractions. It's like optimizing the present.
Exactly.
So, in self management, you are just driving a car within a set course. But self leadership, you choose the destination, you plan the route, you make the adjustments on the fly. You're the driver, navigator, mechanic all in one. And that's the best example I can think of it. Self management is just an aspect of self leadership. Leadership is a huge, huge thing. And we cannot really sum it up in a couple of words, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to start with a quote. Plato says, "The first and best victory is to conquer self." Self leadership to me means leading yourself instead of expecting someone else to lead you. It's personal accountability. It's making a decision, a conscious decision that my growth, my success, and my mindset are my responsibility. So many people today are, it's all about the outside. It's the economy, it's my boss, it's my spouse, it's this, it's that. Research actually shows self discipline and personal responsibility are some of the strongest predictors of long term success over talent and intelligence. In fact, Stanford, you might have, I don't know if you can tell me if you heard of this, Suniti, the Stanford marshmallow experiment.
I haven't heard of it.
So, this was a very classic study done a long time ago. And basically, they gave small children a marshmallow and they said, you can eat it if you want, but if you wait until we come back, you get two. What they found was, and then they later followed up with the kids who were able to delay gratification, which is a core trait
Waiting.
in self leadership, achieved higher success rate in their career and their life outcomes versus those who just ate the marshmallow. And then more recently, Carol Dweck covered this in her book Mindset. And she showed that having a growth mindset or, seeing that I can improve, here's where I am today. I can learn this. I can improve instead of that fixed mindset, which says it's just who I am. Because people with a growth mindset take ownership of progress instead of blaming the world or the outside circumstances. Now,
Absolutely.
what I love is the growth fixed mindset. Our mindset is changeable. You're not locked into it. You don't have to be locked into it. What would
Exactly,
you
because
add?
we're not born with any type of mindset. It develops over time. And if you want it, you can work on changing it itself. So it's not even complicated. All you have to keep telling yourself is no excuses. You have to lead yourself. Like, if you don't have a vision for yourself, if you are not aiming for something, if you have no ambition, then I'm sorry to say, why are you existing? You're not exist. You're just there.
Right. You're just
So it's
like
and
water.
it's
Well,
very
even water
yeah,
has leadership.
yeah, water definitely has leadership. Water can teach us so many things, but often people, like you said, they give excuses, they blame things, and blame game is such a harmful thing for anybody's mindset. The
Yes.
first thing one has to do is take responsibility that, yep, that was my fault, or yes, I was not successful. But that's fine. I learned something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to be an optimist all the time. Be a realist.
That sucked. Yeah,
Simple.
that sucked. I fell on my face, but you know what? I can get back up and do it better next time. When you
Exactly.
talked about the blame, I remember I developed a term: put away the blame thrower.
Yes, you did
It's
say
just
that.
like a flamethrower. People like aiming the blame wherever they can. It's like put it away, take responsibility. And I want to bring in the story of Oprah. Here was someone who had every excuse to blame her circumstances. Born into poverty, a woman of color, like everything was against her. But did she cry and whine and wait for somebody to help her? No, she took ownership. She read books, she grabbed a hold of opportunities, kept pushing herself forward, forward, forward. When they talk to her today, she attributes her success not to luck, but her own decision to take control of her path. So, my question at the end of this section is for those watching: are you actively leading yourself, or are you waiting for someone else to push you forward? All right. So Nady, what would you say are the key traits of a self leader?
Mm, the key traits, if we call it as that, is the key traits is very, very difficult to put it forward because you can see self leadership in every part of life, be it personal development, workplace, relationships, overall well being. But there are a couple of things that always make it up, like self awareness, self regulation, integrity, and authenticity. A very, very important thing, because if you're not honest with yourself, if you don't have your own set of rules and morals, you're going to be floundering all over the place. Then there's goal setting and planning, your motivation, your self influence, self discipline, like you said, resilience, another very big aspect of it, that you have to bounce back from setbacks and keep learning from mistakes, adaptability, and continuous improvement. And there's something that often gets left out in this list, which is self efficacy, or believing in one's ability to accomplish a goal, a task,
Absolutely.
and overcome self doubt, fear, anxiety, things like that.
Right. Yes. There's a common myth around self leadership or in personal growth. And that myth is I need motivation. But the reality is self leaders aren't waiting for motivation. They're they're taking action. And like you said, efficacy. I like that you brought that up because the four traits that I came up with, the first one is clarity. You got to know what you want. You got to know where you want to get,
Absolutely.
right? A very famous book says, without a vision, the people perish. So, you know, are you bouncing through life just kind of going where the wind blows or where the river carries you? Or do you say, that's where I want to go? It's like your example earlier. You know, you're the driver, the navigator, the mechanic, the everything, but you got to know where you want to go.
Exactly. Like, why are you living? What's your why? Without it, we are purposeless. And purposeless
Right.
individuals never make it anywhere, which is a very hard truth of life.
Right. So Jeff Bezos, we all know him, right?
Yeah.
Why is he so successful? Because he had a clear vision of what was going to happen, where he thought e-commerce was heading, and he took massive risk and moved forward even before any external success came. I think of the numbers. I don't remember exactly, but it was many, many years that Amazon was not profitable. Like they were barely covering expenses when they did. And even today, the reality is the part where we do our shopping, it's not profitable. Amazon
Okay,
makes
I didn't know that.
they take a loss on it every year. Where they gain their money most is when they built the system to sell books first, right? And then
Yeah.
later they added a lot more things. I mean, today I can buy my groceries, I can get medical help, my prescriptions, books, audiobooks.
I
There's
think there is
even
hardly anything that's not available on Amazon.
right. There's even business tips. Like you want to do an online business, they have business tips for you. Well,
Yeah, I
this
was looking into publishing a book and I realized Amazon has its publishing.
has their own publishing, yeah. And it's a massive, there's a reason why they're at the top of the list for sales for all companies in the world. It's because Jeff had a vision and he continues to update that vision. He watches where things are going and he leads himself and then expects his people to lead themselves. I've heard the Amazon interview is one of the hardest interviews to get through.
Well, I guess they're justified if they've built the vision that they actually saw.
Yes, which and their core principle is make customers happy. That's my simplified version of it, but it's make customers happy. Everything they do has one core target, one core vision. But anyway, so when they were building as it was growing and they were selling more, they needed a system to manage all this data. And they couldn't find it. They couldn't find what they needed, what they wanted. So they built it. And then they had the vision to say, this is a pretty good system. Let's sell it to other businesses. They probably want it. It's called Amazon Web Services. If you use the internet, you've been through Amazon Web Services, even if you've never gone to Amazon, because most of the major systems on the internet are using Amazon Web Services. That part of the business is like a massive percentage of the sales revenue and it's the profitability that brings keeps Amazon going. So my actionable tip for this section, or no, the actionable tip about your vision is for listeners, write down 3 specific goals you want to achieve in the next 6 months. Ones that you will take full responsibility for achieving. And we talked about discipline. Studies show 45% of our behavior is driven, can you guess?
By self discipline.
By habits.
Right. Oh, but then there will be the excuse of, I don't know how many days it will take to build the habit.
Then we get to consistency, right? Just keep doing it, keep showing up no matter what.
Yeah.
That's true self leadership. You have to build the habit. But in order to build the habit, you've got to do the work.
Exactly. And just like I always say, you need to know where you're going before you plan out your
Right.
route. Like, you first decide that I'm going to this restaurant, then you look at Google Maps to know how you are going to get to that restaurant, right? So have the vision first. Think about what you want to achieve. Because all of us, we have dreams and hopes, but not everybody wants to flounce around on a unicorn. We have got real dreams. So take one of them up and decide how you're going to get it and work for it. Because oftentimes people say things like, oh, I needed a push, I'm not getting it, I'm not getting the right time, I'm not getting the right opportunity. Then make it happen. You're not getting the right time, tell yourself that now is the right time and start. You might fail, but then you can start again. If you are feeling that you need a push, go get yourself a mentor.
Right.
Go
Or an
tell
accountability
somebody
buddy.
you trust. Yeah, an
Like somebody
accountability
who
partner,
can,
and tell them this. Just give you the push and be like, hey, you gotta do it.
yeah. And the best way to find that, you can get someone you trust, but let's say it's exercise. Find a friend who wants to exercise too, and you guys can push each other. You can encourage each other because the chance of both of you being like, not today, I don't feel like it, is really low. Always one person's going to be ready. So that person can push the other, like, come on, get out, let's go. And that brings me to one thing that served me well, and it's my action tip for this part. Start a non-negotiable habit. 10 minutes of learning, 10 minutes of reading, go for a walk, go to the gym. Make it non-negotiable. Like, make an agreement with yourself that I will do this. Nothing will stop me. And like you said, if you miss a day, okay, tomorrow's a new day. Start over. Don't beat yourself up. Go, okay, mistake. Let it go. Move on.
Absolutely, because crying over spilled milk never help anybody. So
Yes.
let's not do that.
Yep. No excuses, just ownership. Just own it. Okay, I missed a day. Great. What am I going to do tomorrow?
I mean, the only thing you can do is analyze what made you miss it and try to make sure that it can be prevented in the future. But that's all that you're going to look in hindsight. Otherwise, hindsight is not for you. Foresight, let's look in the front.
Yeah. Well, hindsight is valuable, but the way I heard it explained, there's a reason why your windshield is this big and your rearview mirror is this big. Because
Yes,
although we need to look
I've heard of
behind,
that code.
yeah, although we need to look behind us, it's more important to watch ahead where you want to go.
Very, very important.
And in this area, I use a reframe. I've been guilty of like, oh yeah, I'm not that kind of person. I can't because, like, I used to say I can't read much because, and I had excuse after excuse. But I replaced it with, how can I? How can I? And then a part of our brain called the RAS starts going to work. How can I? Okay, I got to answer that question. Our brain does not like unanswered questions. It's why when we watch a TV series and they cut the episode and we're like, what's going to happen? Because our brain is going, I got to go back and watch it next week. It's they use it against us. So let's use it in our favor. Change our words. I can't because becomes, how can I?
It reminds me of one thing because you just mentioned it. Uh, a lot of us were bookworms when we were kids. We might have loved only picture books, but we loved them. And as we grew up, as we got into work, it same happened with me as well that I stopped reading. I mean, it's a big change from being a voracious reader to suddenly you're not reading at all. But then one day it struck me that why am I not reading? And I realized that no, okay, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have that. And I was cribbing about it for a few days, and then I was like, to hell with it, I'm going to pick up a book. Maybe I'll read one page only today, but I did. That's it.
That's where it starts, right?
Yes, and
It's
and if you think
it's the
about it, it's
perpetual
tiny steps.
motion. It's a
It's
perpetual
tiny
motion,
steps.
right? It's like if you've ever seen that thing that you put on your desk and it's got the balls. If you do nothing, the
Yeah,
balls just
yeah.
sit there. But if you grab the one ball and let it go, and they'll just
Yes.
keep going, right?
It reminds me of
That's
one
just it.
fact. Have you heard of the book Coraline?
I've heard of it. Yes, I actually saw the movie. I think.
Okay, so I've read the book, and there was a fun fact I read about it that the book was written 50 words a day. Can you imagine 50 words? That's like 2 lines.
Right.
And the entire book was written like that because we can't imagine, right? We think of writing a book and we think you have to write pages every day. But it's just 50 words consistently every day. Okay, and Sean's gone. What happened?
Because you mentioned this was one day's writing. That's it. Just that's it. And I have a whole stack of them for my book that was published last November or October. No, November 2023.
Okay. But that's the thing. You understand what I'm trying to say, right? That
Right.
it
Well,
doesn't matter that how much you're doing in one day. It's about doing it every day.
right. And it's going back to the vision, right? Okay, I have this big goal. I want this big thing. I don't know how to do that. How am I going to achieve that? I heard it, let's say you have a goal in 1 year to write a book, since we're on the topic of book. You say, I've given myself a year to write a book. We just back up. If you want to have a book ready to publish at the end of a year, I want to take a time out because we've had several comments. I want to thank everybody for joining. Orly and Sue, thanks for being here. Your great comments. Orly shares this. Action without vision is a dream. Vision without action is a nightmare. From the
Oh, this
Japanese
one is
proverb. And I
good.
love those. There is so much wisdom in Japanese culture and proverbs. Like talking about resilience, one of my favorite Japanese proverbs is Nana koroki ya oki or ya o. Okay, I'm rusty on it. I gotta go back and look. But it means fall 7 times, get up 8. Right? And then gotta Sue loves to share this one. I love the quote from Yoda, right? He said to Luke Skywalker in the first Star Wars, do or do not, there is no try. One of my mentors said, try is just an excuse. I watched my mentor in a live event try to pick up the chair. And he's like, you can't. You either pick up the chair or you don't.
You
There's no
can't
try.
just try.
You can't try. It's the same thing. Try to pick up the pen. Either I pick it up or I don't. It's within my capability. But returning back to the topic we were talking about, which now I've forgotten. Oh, writing. So you want to write a book in a year. So how much do you need to have completed in 9 months? Then take it back further. Where do you have to be at 6 months? Where do you have to be at 3 months? Where do you have to be next month? Where can you start tomorrow? And it might start with 50 words a day.
Have you heard of Kabir? He's a very famous Indian poet. He used to write dohas. He has this doha called "Kal kare so aaj kare so ab," which means if you want to do something tomorrow, do it today. And if you're gonna do it today, do it now. And it's like an exact mirror image of what you just said, and it reminded me of it because it's a very very famous doha.
Right. And a modern thing says, because I'm a recovering procrastinator, I used to say, I put the pro in procrastination.
Proudly.
That was dumb. That was dumb. But so I recover, I'm working on it. It's all of our negative traits. If we don't practice regular self leadership, they will come back, and they'll come
Yes.
back and try to take over again. But the modern one is the 2-minute rule. When you've got your list of tasks and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get all this done. Look at it. If you can get it done in 2 minutes or less, just do it. Do it right now. Don't delay. Just go do it. Pretty simple, right? Just do it, as Nike says.
Yes, and we have a question by Sue, right? I'm guessing that you want the name. So the name is Kabir. You can spell it out as Kabir. I don't have any way to interact with the comments that are coming, so I hope that helps. If not, just put another comment and I'll help you out. I'll try and see if I can connect with you somehow.
See,
He's very famous. You'll find it.
can you paste it in our private chat, Suniti? Because then I can copy paste.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll do that. I'll do that. In fact, just give me a second. I'll just try and find.
Did I not put that on the screen? Because here's a quote that I had, or something I had to say. That self-leaders see failure as feedback instead of a reason to quit. And there we go. All managed. When I was studying NLP, neuro linguistic programming, one of
Mm-hmm.
the presuppositions, there's, depending on which school you go to, they have 12 to 14. But one of the presuppositions was there is there is no failure, only feedback. When we stop looking at the results, the outcomes, as win or lose, and we change it, we reframe it, win or learn. There is no
Yeah,
failure.
that's very close to one of my own quotes. I feel like a very smart person when I say it. It's the fact that there's only rewards or lessons,
Yeah, it's very
nothing else.
same theme, we'll say.
Yeah.
And it brings us to my next section here, which is the power of owning your success journey. I heard Mel Robbins, I think it was Mel Robbins, I heard this to say. She did a little short or something. But in simple terms, nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. Your success, the path of your life, path of my life, is internal. We are in control. A study by psychological science found that individuals who believe they control their success, instead of quoting it to luck or something else are 40% more likely to achieve their goals. And Julian Rotter in 1954 released what is called the locus of control theory. And in simple terms, it was found that people with an internal locus of control, in other words, they believe they're responsible for their own outcomes, are more successful, they're more happy or happier, and they're more resilient than those with external locus of control, the blamers, the people with their blame throwers out. And I bring in J.K. Rowling, right? We know that name, Harry Potter, global
As a
success.
Potterhead, I am obliged to this name. Like, a lot of us have grown up with Harry Potter being our entire childhoods.
Yeah. She was a single mom on welfare, rejected 12 different times by the publishers. Did she quit? Did she say, oh, I failed? No. She owned it. She kept working to improve, didn't let those setbacks define her, and just kept pressing forward. And here
And
we
it's
are
still
today.
paying dividends. It's still
Right,
paying dividends.
right. Well, and you think about it, like she has the whole book series. It was made into a movie. Um,
Now they're coming
several,
up with a series. Now they're coming up with a series.
several uh, areas at different theme parks are like, like my wife and son are at Universal Studios Florida, and I don't remember if it's at Universal, but in Orlando they're like got like Harry Potter World. You can get you can walk a street that looks like the village where they walked in Harry Potter. You can buy butterbeer and
Yeah, I'm trying not to overload you with all the uh,
the
Potter trivia
puzzles.
that I know, because it's one of my dreams to go there, and it's one of my shared dreams with my sister. But you know something, Orly has written a comment which actually reminded me of something, and I really want to share it if you give permission. Because she writes, win or learn, yes, growth happens through failure. If you're not failing, you're not growing.
Yes.
And you know
And
what
I heard it
happened?
put this way. I put it this way. I heard it this way real quick before you go to your story because mine's short. If you're not failing, you're not doing anything.
Yeah, I'll agree. So, coming to my story, it might sound a bit ridiculous, but we know that we are coaches and we get clients and we are working. So, similarly, I was working and things were good. Things were pretty good. But all of a sudden, last year, I felt like things were boring. I'm not growing because everything I touch, it was working out. So, I'm not getting obstacles. I'm not getting things to cross. I'm not learning. So I went and found this company where one of my mentors was working, and I was like, I want to work here. Will you guys take me? And they were like, you're fine, you're working, you are popular. Why do you want to work here? And I was like, no, I want to work with my mentor. I want to learn again.
Hmm.
And they were a bit puzzled, but they took me in, and I worked with them for a couple of months. Then we stopped because I couldn't relocate. Uh, but I realized it at that point that you need obstacles. You need to fail. You need to hit the wall, fall. Otherwise, you will not learn how to walk. And that's true in every case, no matter what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to build, or what great thing you're trying to create.
Yep. Well, and I've heard it said the people who we look at and we're like, oh, wow, look at their amazing success. It's because they took bold action failed over and over again. The idea is fail fast.
Yeah.
Do something major outside your zone. Fall on your face, get back up, go, okay, what can I learn? And make it better. And fall again. Like
Yeah.
get your failures out quickly so that you can build the sustainable success. It's not saying you
Absolutely.
won't fail.
Because
It's not saying
growth
you
doesn't
won't
happen in
fail.
comfort zone. Growth
Right.
never happens in comfort zone. You have to get out of it.
Right. I have a story. I've been part of a networking group. It's really a cool platform because you just put your profile up and they use AI to match you. And then it says, okay, you're scheduled to meet with this person. So one of the people I met, he shared his whole story from like being a young college graduate or in college, I think he was. And he had this idea that he wanted to design nice shoes. So he went to Italy and he went to all these different manufacturers and talked to them, and they're like, "Now, kid, get out of here, kid." And he just kept going. He kept going. He finally found somebody. He grew it to be this huge shoe brand that's known in all the top end stores. I can't remember the name of it. So he was on top of the world. He was the CEO. He was bringing in a great income, having a lot of success. When I met him, he he was in the doldrums. He was in the pits because through family squabbles and organization, he lost the company. The company's still out there. It's still very successful, but he lost it. And with it, he lost his identity. And that's the worst kind of failure is because people have a really hard time when that life that they were living was like their identity. And when it's gone, it's like they don't know who they are anymore. And that fits into self leadership because we have to, just like the pilot of a plane, when he takes off from the airport, he's constantly looking. He knows where they're supposed to go, right? They're going from Delhi to Mumbai or from New York to Dulles in DC. But he doesn't just point the plane and go, even autopilot, right? They have autopilot. Once they get up in the air, they can hit that autopilot can do everything. It really can. I've heard it can even land the plane if it had to. I don't know how true that is, but I've heard that. But the reality is if you don't make little corrections with the plane, that flight from New York to Dulles would end up in Montana. That flight from Delhi to Mumbai would probably end up in Vietnam. Because it's just a little off course that compounds. And before you know it, the plane is way off of its path.
Yeah.
All right. So I put something in the comments. Did I send that? Because I'm using my phone as so I can comment. Victim thinking says, I can't succeed because of something. Self leadership says, I will find the way no matter what. So, your actionable tip is get a notebook and start yourself a failure log. Write your flops, big and small. Just like on my podcast, I tell people track your wins, big and small, celebrate them, track your failures. Write down the lessons. What did I learn? What can I learn from this? How can I adjust so that next time is better?
important question, isn't it? That what can I learn from this? Because often we get stuck wondering that, oh no, I failed, I'm hurt, I'm shattered,
Right.
and the
What
whole,
did I do wrong?
yeah, and we get
We start.
emotional. But we have to be like, what can I take away from this? Because
Right.
there's always something so valuable a lesson in every failure that you're missing out if you're not noticing it.
Right. Yeah.
It could be very simple, like today if I go and try to make tea and it's probably a different brand from what we usually have, I'll make a mistake because not all types of tea is made same way.
Hmm.
So what will I do? Oh no, the leaves were wrong. I can't say that, right? The leaves were never wrong. So it's about figuring out the right technique, which takes time. But people do not ask that question, and that's literally shooting yourself in your own foot.
Yes. Very, very true. I'm putting something on the ticker here. What is one excuse you've been using for not doing the thing you know you want to do, you know you need to do to move the needle? I saw a post recently, get off zero. That's it. Just get the needle off of zero. That's your start, right? Lead yourself that much. Have you ever heard the story of the wealthy man who's dying? He knows his time is limited. He has two sons, and he brings them in and he gives them two offers. He says, I'll give you $1 million right now. You can go do whatever you want with it. Or I will give you a penny right now. But here's the switch, that penny will double every day for the next 30 days. So the first son says, I want the $1 million. He takes the $1 million. He hires the best financial advisors to do all the analysis and choose which investments they're doing. And so he's making these investments and he's going up and down and up and down. And he's watching his brother, after a few days, he's got a few cents. After a few week, after a week or so, he's got a few dollars. He's like, hey, I can loan you some of my money so you can make some investments and get some money. It's like, no, I got it. Don't worry about it. The one brother is still, continuing to try to grow his money, grow his money, grow his money. But it's the market. It's going up, it's going down. Make good choices, you made bad choices. He keeps reaching out to the brother. Hey, you okay? Like, hey, I got some money I can give you. Don't worry about it. Like, I can cover you for a little while. The other brother's like, it's all good. Do you know how much money the Penny brother had at the end of 30 days? Have you ever heard that number?
No?
It's over $5 million.
Wow.
I
I
bring that
can't
up.
I can't exactly say it with confidence because I've never been good in maths. It's been the dreaded subject all my life, but I can understand the core principle of this story, and that's brilliant.
It's the compounding effect. It works with money. It works with our habits. Sitting down and reading 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes. Raise it. Writing 50 pages a day. Taking a step today towards your goal, whatever it is. But again, going back to the clarity, you have to know where you want to go, right? You can't just jump in the car, start it up, and start driving. Although I used to love doing that. My wife and I used to do that all the time. Like, we're just going on an adventure. We're just going to follow these roads down here and see where they go. I don't know where they go. We're going to go see it. We'd load the car up with plenty of snacks, and water and drinks and just go. But
I used to do that with my dad. Like we would just get on his bike and he would just take trips around the lanes and we would be figuring out new places Like I was tiny back then. I I was absolutely tiny. And there's a sense of adventure when you do those things, and they are good memories for later. But that's the basic thing. Sometimes you gotta explore.
Right. But there's a different mode. When I need to go get my wife to the airport on time, when I need to
When you know
go
the
get,
destination.
I need to have the destination and I need to know the route and I need to know the conditions so that I can make decisions because maybe there's construction or a traffic jam or any number of things. So there are days where, yeah, I just got in the car and just wherever, we don't care. And then there's been, but most of the time, it's like I need to go to the supermarket and I need eggs and milk and butter and cheese. I have a plan. Sometimes I just go to the store. I'm like, just walk the aisles. Oh, that looks good. I usually spend a lot more money on that trip that I didn't really need to spend. Yes. In the closing, I want to add this on the screen, on the ticker here. Let's see. Leaders aren't born. We've heard this before, right? Leaders aren't born. It's an old myth. It's been killed dead. I think today we most of us know that it's not you're not born a leader. They're built.
Yeah. And people like you and me are part of the who build it sometimes.
Well, as it says, the most important person we can lead is ourselves. That's where it starts, right? As a father, as a husband, the first person I focus on leading, yeah, I'm the leader of my home, but I got to make sure I'm leading myself right.
Yeah, and even as a coach, the first person you coach is yourself. Because
Exactly.
otherwise you will be useless for your clients.
Yeah, it's. I saw a video once on social media. A car is driving through a dry riverbed
Okay?
because they're following the navigation app. Like they're not even like we're in the riverbed and the car's going down in dips and like the
No
cars
common sense.
like just driving and the map thing said go that way, so we're just following it. Are you living your life like this? Are you just following the world's GPS that told you do this, do this, do this, do this? Or are you using, as I heard when I was a kid, are you using this for more than a hat rack? We've been given the most powerful supercomputer in the world. They still can't
I
figure
love
out,
that one.
right? The most advanced AI can't even touch what our brains can do.
Yeah, and we haven't even explored all that the brain can do. So we know it's limitless when it comes to its capabilities. And yet
Well,
we will have excuses of not using it.
and a lot of my more recent reading has shown me, I've heard stories that are mind-boggling. And I just dropped in the comments for those watching. I'd love to hear from you guys. I put a 7-day self-leadership challenge. Each day do one thing that puts you in control of your own journey. Drop the fire emoji in there if you're participating. And after the event, after you've watched the event, comment your biggest takeaway. We'd love to hear from you. I hope all of this has been extremely beneficial. I know I learned so much myself. I know a lot about self leadership, but I learned a lot more in getting ready for this topic.
And like I said, I went down the rabbit hole when I was researching it, and I could probably talk about this topic for 24 hours because the amount of information that's available and yet so unknown. It's unfathomable because we never ever think of mastering ourselves. We think about changing what's around us. We don't think that we have to change what's inside. And that's so important.
And I just realized that we got so into this topic that I forgot to share the link.
We're sharing it just 5 minutes before we.
If anybody wants to jump up on stage, share, we'd love to hear from you. We just have a few minutes. I don't mind going a little over. I don't know how Suniti's schedule is. Um, I'm a
Nope,
bachelor.
I don't mind at all.
I'm a bachelor this week, so I got a lot of flexibility. I have too much flexibility, actually. Like I can have anything I want for dinner, and I go down to the kitchen and I'm like, what am I going to make? Talk about practicing self leadership.
Enjoy enjoy the peace while it lasts.
Oh, it's
Because I
it
guess
got
when your
old
son's
after
back, hurricane back.
it got old after the third day. The silence in the house, like the second, what was it? No, the first day, the neighborhood kids came and knocked on the door. I'm like, didn't he tell you? No, tell us what? He's not here. Oh, oh yeah. Okay, can we jump on your trampoline?
Okay, now I'm a bit jealous. You've got a trampoline.
No, my son has a trampoline.
Well, technically, you can jump on it as well. I'm sure your son wouldn't mind. But
Yes.
though your bones might not, thank you.
No, my bones are in good shape because again, the small habits, you know, fitness. I saw my midsection growing, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, ugh. And I used to make excuses. Well, I'm not a fitnessy kind of guy. I made a commitment to myself. I'm going walking every day. And some mornings that alarm went off and it's like, not today. But I said, no, I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to honor my agreement with myself. And I get up and I walk every day.
Yeah.
And reading. I love reading. And I used to say, well, I work full time and I got a small child. And every time I sit down, every time he's doing something and I think, oh, I can sit down and read for a little bit. Oh, daddy, 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 daddy. And I used it as an excuse. And I said, no, how do I do this? How can I make time to read? Okay. Get up first, go for my walk, have my me time, come back, deliver coffee to my wife, get my coffee, read. Have my block of time that's my reading time. Guaranteed
And
reading.
one thing, there's a very, very short and sweet hack, which is a bit difficult, but not difficult if you are really willing to give it a shot. That can be very, very helpful when it comes to building habits. It's simple. Just wake up earlier.
Right. Yeah.
And you get so much more time in the day. Like, oh my God, I have so many more hours.
Exactly. Yeah. And most people will find it easier to get up a bit earlier than it is to stay up and work later.
Yeah. It might seem the reverse, but honestly, your body does not want that. Staying up is very harmful for health.
Yes.
Unless, of course, that's your sleep chronotype. So you might want to find your sleep chronotype first. There are apps all out there to find your sleep
Right. But
chronotype. But
that circles us back to something you mentioned at the beginning. It starts with self-awareness,
yeah,
right?
search up yourself,
Search
find out
yourself
yourself.
monitor your habits. When do you do your best? Ask yourself the questions, write the answers. Don't filter. Take ownership of your life. Be the captain of your ship.
Good or
Set a
bad,
course.
it's you. Accept it.
Right. Set a course. Plot your destination. Set your course. Make adjustments as necessary. Be aware and own it. That's my big closing remark: is own your life. It's your life. You only get one. Take your own success journey, because nobody else will do it for you.
Absolutely.
All
And I
right.
hope that it actually did motivate some people to understand, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching the replay. Just remember that you just have to start. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Absolutely.
And that's the one takeaway I want everybody to take from here, that you just have to start, no matter what it is, how big it is, how small it is. Start.
Just
That's
like
it.
that baby. Take that
You're a
first
winner
step.
already.
Absolutely. Yeah. My one of my mentors at a conference said it this way. He's like, each of us has unlimited potential inside of us, but it means nothing without a target. Yes. And thank you, Orly and Sue, for all your contributions. I see we had an Anil arrive, and
I
you
love
know,
what Anil says, that sometimes a small push from others also helps.
I locked onto that one too. Yes, it is definitely beneficial to have someone in your corner who will give you that nudge.
A coach, a mentor, an accountability partner, a
A,
friend, somebody,
a spouse, a family member, any,
anybody. Just
somebody who sees that you can go the way you want and will encourage you. And
somebody who sees the potential in you, to be honest, because uh, you know what works best for this? Moms. They see infinite potentials in us. So if you have your
most,
mom, then
most
you
moms,
have the whole
most
package.
moms.
Yeah, most of
I
them.
wasn't as lucky. Yeah, unfortunately, I was not as lucky, and my mom's been gone over 20 years.
But you have
But
your spouse, another mom.
I married an amazing woman that nudges me, gives me that small push when I need it. She's there to help dust off when I fall on my face, literally or figuratively, and comfort me when I need it, encourage me, support me. We just had a big talk about this last night, about the level of support that she gives, or that she says that's there. She's like, if you need to do something with your business, you need to take a program, you need to hire a coach to kind of push you, to give you that push, like Anil says, give you some one-on-one guidance. Do it. Do it.
Absolutely. And I think we should wrap up because, like I said,
Yes.
this topic will not end. We'll keep
Yes.
on and
Yeah.
on and
We
on.
don't
And
keep If we don't keep the ship under control, we will run it aground.
maybe not the ground, but yeah.
Yes. All
Yes, and
right,
it also has a
sweetie.
very nice example of Hanumanji. Yes, I remember that. I especially remember it better because I saw the movie again when it re released.
I'll have to look into that. I don't.
I'll
Yeah.
share with you a link for a movie. If you can, just do it because it's a great movie that was made in a collaboration with India and Japan, and it's beautiful.
Yes. I still want to see that Chinese movie that broke all the records this year.
Okay,
It like the people I work with in China, they told me about this movie. It blew through the box office records. Like it's the top grossing movie for all of China's movie history. And then it went global and blew out records. It's
do share me
called
the name.
I will share you the name, yeah. And as Sue says in closing, even exercise coaches have coaches. Even the world's most elite athletes, Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, Cristiano Ronaldo, insert name here, they have coaches and mentors to help them see their blind spots, to give them that push that Anu mentioned when they need it. Sometimes they give them a kick in the butt because that's what they need.
And sometimes it's a hug.
Yep, exactly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Suniti.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you, everybody. Today's session was a fantastic one, especially because we have got gems dropping in the comments, and I love the comments that were coming. So
Yes,
thank you very, very
absolutely.
much. That was really encouraging. That was very encouraging.
Yeah. It's a great start to the week. So I hope everybody has an awesome week. Sending love and blessings to you all. To you, Suniti. Thank you, thank you, thank you for agreeing to be here each Monday with me. I really appreciate
My,
it. Have a great week.
my pleasure. Bye bye, everybody.